pose, figure, and ground. Some photographs are taken randomly as the shot suggests itself in the course of a given day or experience, but others, especially the portrait, are posed. We all like to think that we can read personality or character just by looking at a person's face, as if that face recorded or stored up in some magical way that person's experiences. Although we may often be able to do this to a degree, in many cases poses are a representation not of character, but of personality. The term personality comes from the word persona, which means mask. Our personalities are masks that we present to the world, and the photograph may be capturing this mask and not our real selves. How do we read a photograph for personality or character? First, background helps define the person in a portrait. Lawyers are frequently portrayed in their libraries with rows and rows of law books behind them, suggesting the knowledge and power that that person has. Fan portraits of poor people in their shacks with only the barest of furniture or possessions. This ground helps define the figures. So the ground helps define the figure just as the figure helps define the ground. This background and the objects in it provide us with the information that help us gain an understanding of the person being portrayed. Second, the person's appearance influences our interpretations. We all have notions about what having blonde hair or a weak chin or being gap-toothed or very thin or fat or short or tall signifies. Conventional wisdom tells us what facial features and body shapes mean, and we apply this wisdom, which of course is often wrong, to the people we see in portraits. Facial expression is another way of conveying information through things such as a smile, a frown, a look of puzzlement, or stoic resignation. We can all empathize with others because we reveal different emotions via our facial expressions. Third, body language helps us read photographs. We're now aware that a whole world of nonverbal communication exists, and we're always communicating whether we say a word or not. Thus, body language generates messages that we can all interpret. In addition to facial expression and body language, people use various props in a theatrical sense to generate impressions. Some of the most important props include the following: hairstyle, crew cuts, punk, long hair, the Ollie North look. All convey information about a person. With women, long straight hair conveys a different impression than does short curly hair. And as time progresses and hairstyles become popular and fade, we read people via hairstyles, which suggest someone's with it or square. In their book, Reading People, Joanne and Mark discuss the meaning of radical haircuts, colors, and styles, and say they suggest nonconformity, rebelliousness, an adventurous nature, an unconventional job and lifestyle, a desire to appeal to a particular peer group, trendiness, disregard for personal appearance, a need to be different and noticed, cultural influence, age, race, social group. We can find many different meanings in these hairstyles. Young people tend to be more experimental with their hair. The book is full of lists of ways to interpret other phenomena associated with creating an identity, such as body language and fashion. Number 2, eyeglasses. Style of eyeglasses tells us about the taste or lifestyle of the person wearing them. Now that the contact lenses are so popular, a person who chooses to wear eyeglasses might be trying to create a certain impression. Number 3, fashion. We've learned in recent years that fashion provides information, and there are various ways one dresses for power. Think of the difference between a dark pinstripe three-piece suit and jeans and a t-shirt. Jewelry. The kind of jewelry one wears is a means of impression management. What does it mean when men wear earrings? What if a woman wears many pairs of earrings?
Ew.
Think about class rings and wedding rings. Jewelry, or its lack, is an important prop. Number 5, makeup. A woman with a great deal of makeup seems to be quite different from a woman with no makeup at all. Long, polished nails convey a certain image associated with glamour in our minds. Number 6, briefcases, bags, and so on. These objects also generate impressions and are used by people for the purpose of impression management. When we look at a photograph of a person or a group of people, we must decipher a great deal of visual detail if we're going to get to the full meaning of the photograph. We use our faces, bodies, clothes, and objects to create certain impressions in other people. To read photographs correctly requires background information or what might be called consumer cultural literacy. If you don't recognize, for example, that a briefcase has the logo of an expensive Italian fashion house, you've missed something its owner wanted to convey. This long shot from the film Citizen Kane achieves this dramatic quality by framing the figure in the door against a background of light. The image is also enhanced by the decorative nature and the huge size of the room. Technical aspects of the photograph. A number of different technical matters should be considered when taking a photograph. Focus. Focus refers to the clarity of an image or a part of an image. We use the term depth of field to refer to objects in focus in an image. This depth of field varies depending on the kind of lens we use in the camera. We get greater depth of field with wide-angle lenses than with narrow-angle lenses. We can use focus to emphasize certain things and de-emphasize others to generate certain impressions. Thus, a soft focus is associated with romantic and related emotional states and is often used in cosmetic advertisements, which sell magic, and fantasy. By contrast, very sharp and clear focus is connected with science and pure rationality. Grain. The term grain refers to the prominence of the minute dots that make up a photograph. Grainy photographs are associated with snapshots and photographs taken by chance or in difficult situations. Thus, we associate grain with realism and honesty. We don't use grainy photographs as a rule, and so when they're used, it suggests that something unusual is transpired or is being communicated. Shot angle. Angle refers to where the camera is relative to the subject of the photograph. A shot that looks up to the subject conveys a different impression, such as reverence, than one that looks down on and is superior to the subject. When we photograph people, the shot angle is quite important. A full-face shot conveys a different impression than does a three-quarter face shot or a profile. With the full-face shot, we find that the person being photographed is in a sense looking at us directly in the eyes, and thus this pose suggests honesty and candor. The three-quarter face shot has been interpreted to suggest a person of vision and who's looking beyond us to the future. The person in the profile shot becomes an object of scrutiny, someone looked at. We find this angle in mugshots and in certain portraits, where a person's profile strikes the photographer as the best way to portray the subject. Kinds of shots. Here we're considering how far the camera is from the subject. The following list presents some of the most important shots, assuming that we're photographing a person, so we could be photographing an object or building or a landscape. Number 1. The extreme close-up. This might portray only part of the person's face. Number 2. The close-up. This generally would include the face, but not much else. Number 3. The medium shot. This would show the face and part of the torso.
Oops.
Number 4. The long shot. This would include the entire body and some of the surroundings. Number 5. The extreme long shot. Here the figure would be relatively small, with much of the surroundings shown. This shot functions as an establishing shot and suggests the context in which a given person or group of persons is to be found. Each of these shots has a particular function and conveys a certain kind of message. The extreme close-up is very personal and intimate and is meant to give us insights into the personality of the person being photographed. As we move away from the camera on a perpendicular line, we become less involved with personality, more involved with background or context. Close-up, medium, and long shots of a building are shown in the following figures. The end.
Oh, that's the end.
Wait, you videotaped?